Right, so today we're going to diving deep into a story that's been kind of all over the headlines.
Yeah.
The whole thing with Wendy Williams and her guardianship battle.
Oh, absolutely. And it's been going on for a while.
Well, for a while, yeah. And, I think a lot of people probably know, like, the very surface level of it.
Right.
But we're really here to unpack, all the complexities, the controversies. And, there's a human element to this, too.
Oh, absolutely. This is a very, very human story.
Yeah, so we've got a ton of stuff that we're going to go over. We've got court documents that were obtained by People magazine.
Okay.
We've got statements from Wendy herself and her family, and even some things that came out of the Lifetime documentary, Where's Wendy Williams?
It's interesting how they titled that documentary, too, because it really kind of speaks to...
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. There's like a mystery surrounding her now.
There is, yeah. It's like, where is she? What's going on?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think to really understand what's going on here, we have to start with Wendy's health.
Absolutely, we have to start with her health, because that is... that's at the core of everything.
Right. So let's kind of like rewind a little bit.
Okay.
So Wendy's been open about her battles with Graves' disease and lymphedema.
Right.
But in February of 2023, she got a double diagnosis that really, I think, changed everything.
Yeah, it really kind of shook things up.
Yeah, progressive aphasia and frontotemporal dementia, or FTD.
And a lot of people, they hear those terms and they don't really understand what it means for someone's day-to-day.
Yeah.
But these are really serious conditions that have a huge impact on someone's ability to, to function in life.
Oh, yeah, especially for someone like Wendy.
Exactly. Especially someone like Wendy, whose whole career was built on communication.
Right. Thinking on her feet.
Exactly. Quick thinking.
Yeah.
So imagine being, a talk show host known for your sharp wit and your witty banter back and forth, and then suddenly you're dealing with aphasia, which affects your ability to speak, to understand language, to even read and write.
I can't even imagine.
That's devastating.
Yeah.
And then you add FTD on top of that, which can cause all sorts of changes in your personality and your behavior.
Right.
And it makes it even more challenging for someone to manage, their life in the public eye.
Especially when you're someone like Wendy, who is so much in the spotlight.
Exactly.
Yeah, it makes you realize how vulnerable anyone can be when you're dealing with these kinds of health challenges.
Absolutely.
And then, of course, on top of all of that, you have this whole court-ordered guardianship thing that came into effect back in April of 2022.
Right, and that's where things get really interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Because the guardianship, which is led by Sabrina Morrissey, was put in place because the court deemed Wendy cognitively impaired, permanently disabled, and legally incapacitated due to her condition.
Wow.
But what's fascinating here is that Morrissey is now in this huge legal battle with A&E television networks over that Lifetime documentary.
Is she suing the network?
She is. And I think it really speaks to how much power is at play here.
Yeah.
Morrissey is basically saying, you can't use Wendy for entertainment without considering her well-being and her right to control her own story.
Right, and I get that.
Yeah.
I totally get that. But then isn't there also kind of a public interest angle to this?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, she is a public figure.
Sure.
People want to know what's going on.
Yeah, and especially with all the, kind of concerning incidents that happened leading up to this.
Right. So where do we draw the line?
Right.
When does curiosity turn into exploitation?
Yeah, that's the question.
Especially when you're dealing with someone with such serious health challenges.
Yeah, and then you throw in the fact that her family has some serious concerns as well.
Oh, yeah. Wendy's sister, Wanda Finney, has been really, really vocal about her worries.
And they've even said that they feel like they're being kept in the dark.
Absolutely.
About Wendy's care and her diagnosis and everything.
They feel like they have limited contact with her,
Right.
and they just don't know what's going on.
They've even gone so far as to say that they think the system is broken.
Yeah, they're really hoping that one day Wendy will be able to speak for herself.
Right. Which would
be amazing.
Which would be amazing, yeah.
If she could share her side of the story.
Right, because right now it's like we're getting this very one-sided narrative.
Exactly.
Because Morrissey hasn't publicly responded to any of these accusations.
It's just silence from her side.
Yeah, so it's like...
who have all these questions and no answers.
Yeah, it's just a very messy and kind of heartbreaking situation.
Oh, absolutely. And we're going to get into all of that in just a bit. But first, let's take a quick break.
Sounds good.
Okay, so you asked about how we even got to this point with the guardianship.
Right, like how did this even happen?
Yeah, it's not like it just appeared out of nowhere.
Right.
There were definitely signs, little cracks that kind of started to show.
Yeah, looking back, it seems like things really started to shift in the fall of 2021.
Okay.
When she stepped away from her show.
Right. The Wendy Williams show.
Yeah.
She said it was for health reasons.
Right, citing health reasons. And she spent some time in Florida with her family. And reportedly, she was seeking treatment there.
Okay.
And this is when her family says they started to really lose contact with her.
So it's like there's this whole other narrative happening behind the scenes.
Right.
While everyone's speculating, what's going on with the show.
Right? Is she coming back?
Exactly. And meanwhile, her family's just feeling this growing sense of unease.
Right, like something's not right.
Yeah, like something's off. They're being kept at a distance.
Yeah, and this is all before the official diagnosis of aphasia and FTD.
Right, so they're dealing with this already, and then you have those very public incidents.
Oh, yeah.
That really started to fuel the concern.
Like that episode where she seemed disoriented on air.
Yeah, slurring her words.
Right, and then there were all those reports of, like, erratic behavior.
It is tough to watch.
Yeah.
Especially for someone who had built her career on being, sharp and quick and witty.
Right.
It was like watching someone unraveling.
And I think the public's reaction, even though, people were concerned,
Of course.
probably added to the pressure.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So you have those incidents, you have her ongoing health issues, and then the family's growing concern.
Right.
And it all kind of culminates in this decision to appoint a guardian.
It's a big decision.
Yeah, it is a huge decision.
But in this case, I think the court probably felt like it was necessary to protect her.
Right, to protect Wendy from potential harm.
Exactly. And it's interesting because usually these guardianship situations are pretty quiet.
Right.
They happen behind closed doors.
It's a legal process.
Exactly. But with someone like Wendy, whose life has always been so public,
Right.
it becomes this whole spectacle.
Yeah, it's almost like a public trial.
Right. And it raises all these questions about the system itself.
Like, is it even equipped to handle cases like this?
Right.
How do you balance the need for oversight with the right to privacy?
Especially when every single move is scrutinized.
Yeah, and every decision becomes a headline.
It's a challenge for sure.
Yeah, and then you have Sabrina Morrissey, the court-appointed guardian,
Right.
who's facing criticism from multiple sides.
It's like she's caught in the middle.
Yeah, Wendy's family is accusing her of limiting contact and controlling information.
Right. And then the producers of the documentary are saying that she didn't do enough to protect Wendy's interests.
So she's damned if she does and damned if she doesn't.
It's a tough spot to be in.
It is, and it really highlights the huge responsibility that comes with being a guardian.
Absolutely. You're making life-altering decisions for someone else.
Right, and it's never going to please everyone.
Especially when you're dealing with someone like Wendy Williams,
Right.
whose life and career have always been so intertwined with the public.
And it also brings up the whole issue of ethics in media coverage.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. How do we report on this story responsibly without sensationalizing it?
Right, without exploiting her vulnerability.
Exactly. How do we separate fact from fiction when so much of what we're hearing is coming from legal proceedings and family drama?
Right, it's a fine line.
Yeah.
It is. And I think it's a reminder that we as, consumers of media, we have a responsibility too.
Absolutely.
To be discerning, to think critically about the stories that we're being told.
And to remember that behind the headlines,
Yeah.
there's a real person going through something really difficult.
And I think it's important to remember that Wendy did release a statement
Oh, yeah.
amidst all of this,
Yeah.
where she, expressed gratitude for the support, but she also emphasized her need for privacy and peace.
It was a really powerful statement. It was like she was trying to reclaim some of her power and remind people that she's still here.
Right, she's still a person.
Yeah, and that she deserves to be treated with respect.
It's a good reminder that this isn't just a legal case or a media frenzy.
Right, this is someone's life.
Yeah, this is a human being going through a really tough time, and she deserves that respect and privacy.
Absolutely, and speaking of tough times, let's not forget about that glimmer of hope that we saw back in August.
And when she was spotted out in public.
Yeah, with her son.
Yeah.
It was her first public appearance in a year.
Right.
And it really sparked a lot of conversation.
Yeah, some people saw it as a sign of progress.
Right.
Like she's getting better.
Reclaiming some normalcy.
Yeah.
Other people questioned whether she was really well enough to be out in public.
Right.
And it brings up this whole issue of how we view public figures when they're going through health challenges.
Yeah.
Do we give them space to heal privately?
Right.
Or do we expect them to perform a certain level of wellness for our entertainment?
Right. Like we're entitled to see them a certain way.
Exactly.
It's tough,
Yeah.
right? It's like we put these people on a pedestal.
Yeah.
We invest in their lives. And then when things get messy,
Right.
It's like we don't know what to do.
And it's even harder, I think, when it involves mental health.
Oh, for sure.
Because there's still so much stigma.
Yeah.
And people are so quick to judge.
Yeah.
They offer opinions.
Yeah, it's like armchair diagnosing.
Right, exactly. And they forget
that there's a person.
That there's a real person.
Yeah. Behind all of this.
Behind the headline.
So let's bring it back to Wendy for a second.
Okay.
What do you think this has been like for you?
I mean, it's impossible to know for sure.
Right.
But we can imagine the toll it's taken.
Oh, yeah.
Think about it. She's dealing with these serious health issues.
Right.
She's lost control over parts of her life.
Yeah.
And her personal struggles are being talked about by everyone.
It's got to be so disorienting.
Oh, absolutely.
Isolating.
Yeah.
And that statement that she released,
right,
asking for privacy and peace.
It was powerful.
It was powerful. It really was. And it felt like she was trying to take back some of her power.
Right.
Remind everyone, like, I'm still here.
I'm still fighting.
Yeah.
I deserve respect.
And it's a good reminder for all of us.
Yeah.
That this isn't just some legal case or a media story.
This is a human story.
Yeah.
With a human being at the center of it.
And we don't know what's going to happen.
Former talk show host Wendy Williams. New court documents filed by her legal guardian say she is now permanently incapacitated by her ongoing health battles.
Heartbreaking news. Wendy Williams is being described as permanently incapacitated due to her battle with dementia and aphasia. Her guardian, attorney Sabrina Morrissey, made the disturbing revelation in court filings. Wendy was last seen in public at a holistic store back in August, taking a photo with a fan in New Jersey. The former talk show host was also the subject of a Lifetime documentary that was criticized for showing Wendy at her lowest, looking out of it, and perhaps not fully aware of what was going on.
We all make choices in life. We all go through our challenges.
How do we balance public interest with individual privacy? It's a tough one.
It is.
But it's worth thinking about.
Absolutely.
Because how we engage with these stories, how we treat people who are struggling.
It says a lot about us.
It says a lot about our values.
As a society.
Yeah. So thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
Always a pleasure.
We'll be back next time with another story.
Can't wait.
Until then, stay curious, stay informed, and stay engaged.